my shoulders don't sit open or to the left, because what you can see here is I am likely to follow the line of my shoulders unless I do something drastic, which could affect my backswing as well as my follow through. So, hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to take you through the 3 main reasons people struggle to draw the ball and a few things that you can implement to help you do that. So let's get into it. So the first place I'm going to start is at setup. Now, setup is probably one of the most overlooked yet important places to start when trying to draw the golf ball or shape the golf ball differently. And I'm going to show you how ball position can really influence ball flight and start line, as well as where the body aligns and how we hold it. So starting with ball position, it's important to understand that we swing the club on an arc. Okay, so what happens is the club comes from behind us, attacking the golf ball slightly from the inside. Then it starts to square up at the bottom of the arc. So it comes from behind us, reaches its furthest point away, and then it starts to track back around us. Okay, so where my ball is on that arc can really dictate the way my club interacts with it. So for example, as I mentioned there, if my ball was too far forward in my stance, what's going to happen is the club's going to come down from the inside, as it always will for every player, square up, and then start to move back on the left. So if I've got my ball position too far forward, then by the time my club touches that golf ball, it's going to be working on the left side of the arc. Also, that's going to influence a much higher ball flight. As I start to move the ball more back in the stance, I'm likely to see a more downward attack just based on the way the club is coming in, and the club is attacking it fractionally from the inside before it squares up and then back around on the arc. So if I demonstrate that for you now, and I put the ball right off my front foot and attempt to make contact with it, you'll very likely see that the ball starts further left. Now, you can see that's cutting just fractionally, but that could be because my face was pointed slightly to the left as well. Now, watch what happens if I move the ball back in my stance. So this time I'm going to move the ball right back to my right foot. And again, what I'm expecting is the club to attack it slightly from the inside and probably see a completely different start line. Now, one thing I will say there is I got a lot more ball, okay? The ball flight definitely felt like it come out a little lower from doing that as well, as expected when I've got the ball more back in the stance. The next piece to making sure your setup is good is the way your shoulders and shaft is positioned at address. So making sure that when I'm addressing the golf ball, my shoulders don't sit open or to the left, because what you can see here is I am likely to follow the line of my shoulders unless I do something drastic, which could affect my backswing as well as my follow through. So again, it's very important that I get my shoulders organized better at address, feeling like they're a little bit more closed. And again, you can just put a club across your shoulders here to do so, and moving the shoulders more to the right. It might feel like when you do that, you have a little bit more weight on your left side as you do that, and it will look like the shaft is a touch more forward at address. Now, if I can get my ball position more in the correct spot, so for me the correct spot would be for I've got my 8-iron here, somewhere close to the center, and I've got my shoulders pointing somewhat down the target line to what feels like to the right, and I've got my handle a little bit forward. Everything now feels like it's encouraging me to swing a little bit more to the right. So as again, I'm in a better setup now. If I just hit another golf shot for you here, you can see how that ball starts to work slightly differently. Now, the final thing to the setup is making sure my grip is correct, okay? Or certainly correct for me. Which kind of brings me on to the second thing that I most commonly see when people are trying to draw a golf ball, which is the club face is pointing open as it touches the ball. Now, one of the few points, or the only point of contact we have with the golf club is our hands, and they are most relevant when it comes to moving the face around, certainly the opening and the closing. And I'll often see people with a very weak grip. I'll often see the hand twisted to, or their left hand, if they're right-handed, twisted more round to the left, thumb pointing down the grip. And I'll often see them grip it very much in the palm. Now, I recommend gripping it a little bit more in the fingertips, allowing enough hand to wrap over that the fleshy part or the heel pad of my hand is sitting a little bit more on the grip or on the top of the grip. Now, when I look down, I can see my thumb is pointing down the right-hand side of the shaft. My index finger and thumb and this little line here is pointing to my right shoulder, and I can see about 2.5 to 3 knuckles. Then I'll put my right hand in, which will just find its own slot. Again, gripping it a little bit more in the fingertips, and I am now gripping it here. This is going to help me close the club face. So when I do start to swing fractionally from the inside or more out to the right, I've now got a grip that will help me do that. So the second thing I really see is club face, and making sure the club face is organized throughout the swing. So touching on that, what I often see as well is in the backswing, in an effort for players to swing the club more around them, they start to roll the face open, okay? They start to roll their forearms to the right and expose the club face. And then there's a lot of closing that has to happen in the downswing. So for me, I would like to see, as a very basic checkpoint, that as I start to rotate into the backswing, my club face is a little bit more toe down than usual, okay? So what I mean by that, if this is the toe of the golf club, it twists more to my left, okay? So it's matching my spine angle as I begin to turn into the backswing. So again, that will give me a really good sensation of where I want the club face. And I would mirror that coming back down. I would really want to see that as I start working back down into the golf ball, if I'm trying to feel this club come behind me, that's fine. But I'd like to see the club face working back down again. My knuckles are pointing slightly down, and then all I have to do is rotate onto the golf ball. Whereas again, I see a lot of players with their club face quite open coming down and then have to do different things to try and organize it. And I guess we could say that most golfers are pretty smart. If my club face is open coming down, why would I want to then swing out to the right? Because surely I'd hit a shot that goes further to the right. And some of you may have experienced that, where you're trying to swing more to the right and you just can't get it to come back. And that is solely where we want the club face to close. Now, the third most common reason I see people struggle to draw the golf ball is not turning enough in the backswing, not allowing the club to work enough around them. So in their backswing, you'll often see them not rotate well enough, and the arms will just pick up and return the way they went in the downswing or in the backswing. So for me, allowing the club to work on an arc is very important when it comes to working the club back out to the right-hand side. Now, a few tips to help you rotate the club around you and not feel like you're picking it up is, again, I'm probably going to touch back on setup here, but making sure my feet are flared, making sure that my right foot is toed out about 20 to 30 degrees. Now, the reason this is important is that will start to open my shins, my knees, my hips, ready for my hips to turn, because I need my hips to turn in the backswing to allow the club to work more behind me, position my body to aim more in this direction, so I could then swing out to the right. And I'd like to think that if we can get, now don't get me wrong, there's many more reasons why we don't draw the ball, these are the top 3, but I'd like to think that if we get the ball in the right spot, shoulders set with good grip, and then from there I make a decent turn which allows the club to travel around me, I'd like to think that I could begin to draw the golf ball. So you can see that comes back there a little bit. Oh, and a good shot to finish on too. So I hope that made a lot of sense. I hope there's some things in there that you can certainly take away from that. And if you did like the video, please give it the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.